Hey everyone, it's been a long time since I've done one of these, either a World of Warships video, well, that wasn't a meme, or commentary for any sort of gameplay, but I've had a couple of pretty decent Destroyer games over the last few days, mostly because I got back into Destroyer playing for the British line, and I thought I'd put a couple up on YouTube. So it's been quite a long time since I played any Destroyers. Really, the last time I played them with any kind of skill was during the alpha. I suppose skill is a bit rich. It wasn't so much that as everyone else sucked at the game so much and didn't know how things worked, so I could capitalize. But, you know, some of my old Grimyashi games come to mind. For a long time, I kind of stuck to cruisers and then battleships because they're much easier to play, much more idiot-proof. And it's kind of a more casual pace of gameplay, I suppose, which suited me more when I was only playing a couple matches and then going off to do other stuff. It's been quite a while since I really focused on playing World of Warships. Not because I haven't been enjoying the game so much, just a lot of my friends that I used to play with either aren't playing or I'm never on at the same time as them, and I don't really enjoy playing alone as much, so I tended to avoid it. And as well as that, I've just had other stuff to play. So it's been quite a while. And here we see me in the Groz, which, when I got it, was one of the, oh no, god, don't grind towards that boats, because the Khabrovsk was better in every single way, and in many ways the ship which preceded this, the Udaloi, was considered a better ship as well. So I said, fuck that, it looks cool. It looks kind of like a Kotlin. I think it actually lent quite a bit. First the Neostrashimi and then the Kotlin, which is probably why it looks like one. Same turrets, same sort of general shape. And I think that's aesthetic as fuck. So I got myself a Grozovoy and I proceeded to play it, and I proceeded to suck enormous amounts of dick at it because it was not a very strong ship and I was not a very good destroyer player. Anyway, as you may have heard, if you've kept any sort of attention on World of Warships at all over the past, I don't know, like a year or so, the Grozovoy has been buffed. And boy howdy did it get buffed. It's now quite good. We've got damage control, of course, or repair party, whatever. Well, both of them, in fact, we have a damage control. We have smoke, and it's quite good smoke. It hangs around for like a minute and a half, which is pretty fucking useful. We've got enhanced AA, which is very good on a destroyer with such a high AA rating. This thing's very good at killing aircraft. We have a heal, well, 3 heals, which is a godsend on this ship. It really needed them. And then we have 3 speed boosts as well. I believe I have Superintendent on this, so it might be 2 charges. I can't remember, I'll have to check. Anyway, first things first, I roll into sea. Now, I'm probably playing more aggressively than I'm supposed to. I tend to do that. I'm not very patient, and if I sit back and be more conservative in a destroyer, people start yelling at me and calling me bad. So I kind of just tend to beeline for the nearest cap zone and try and like scout out whatever's coming. Now in this case, because I did take all those hits really early on because this fucking Shimakaze spotted me, I didn't really spot things so much as cower behind a rock and mash my heal button, but the gearing that's rolled up, as well as the cruiser with him, spotted the Shimakaze for me, so I'm actually pretty well placed here to deal with the Shima. I did roll out of my smoke there for a second, which you probably noticed, to respot him, because they lost eyes. Now that he's relit, I've just pulled back into my fog bank and am shitting out shells. The fact that the Grozovoy's smoke lasts for a minute and a half means you can basically just sit in a giant ball of smoke and shit out anger and death in every direction for a minute and a half. And unless someone pops radar or hydro right next to you, you're pretty good. You just gotta watch out for torpedoes. My smoke finally dissipates. I'm caught in the open, but not so badly because most of the enemy are rolling behind islands at this point. We've got another Shimakaze here on the run and on fire. I was getting set for a shot on him, and I just kind of take a blinder around that island, but he's already dead. That's both the enemy Shimas dealt with. The Charles Martel, which I was quite worried about, obviously cruisers being a much bigger threat to my destroyer than anything else in the game, he's pretty much fucked, because he's rolled straight into a friendly cruiser and a Bismarck. Or at least I think that's the Bismarck over there. No, it is in fact the Friedrich, which is even more hilarious. You'll forgive me if my situational awareness isn't great trying to commentate this replay. I can't really remember where everyone was at any given point. So we've got an enemy Massachusetts rolling around the north. I'm not really worried about him. I do land 2 torp hits on, I believe that was on the Friedrich coming through the cap. Nope, it wasn't. Fuck, did I drop torps at? Oh, right, there's a Benson in that smoke. That's what that was. Sorry, I'm all over the place this morning. I woke up early. I've got a morning shift today, so I'm a bit spaced out. So there we got a Benson. He's already pretty much fucked from that torp hit, and our superior guns finish him off. The Grozovoy's guns are not quite as good as the Khabarovsk's. You don't have the Khabi's bullshit range, but to kind of balance that out, you aren't visible from space like the Khabi is, and you're a smaller target in general. The Grozovoy is a bit more of an all-rounder. In fact, the current special event for it is called Universal Soldier, which is pretty much what it is as far as Tier 10 destroyers go. It's a good gunboat, it's a good torpedo boat, not great, but competent. Its concealment's okay, like, it's a good all-rounder. Now, with the Friedrich kind of obscured by terrain, we have a Des Moines here who's making a mad dash across the open. Of course, a lit Des Moines means everyone is going to fire at him, and he is feeling the hurt right now. I've still got over a minute on my smoke, so I'm just going to sit here and vomit out shells. I'm not in a big hurry to move. Either he's already popped radar, or he doesn't have it. I'm not quite sure how that works. I haven't played the Des Moines, so I'm not sure what consumables it gets. These are the things you're probably supposed to know for each ship if you're a good player, but I'm not a good player, and I have no idea which ships can do what. With that said, when the radar does pop, it's pretty obvious where it comes from usually. So he's now behind an island hiding, and I don't blame him, but the Friedrich is getting very ballsy and rolling into the cap. I spit out a couple of torps in his general direction, kinda not really expecting hits, just hoping he'll dawdle into them. He's distracted at the moment. He was dealing with that gearing. The gearing helped us out quite a bit earlier with his spotting and distracting people, but unfortunately we're now down to just us and the battleship to my sort of east-northeast, which is a Bismarck. With that said, I am now the only thing for this Friedrich to shoot at, which is not good. The Des Moines has rolled out from behind his little island and is joining in the fun. And this is where the Grozovoy's heel starts to really come in handy. You can see I also mashed my speed boost there. I've got just over half a minute until my smoke comes back up, at which point I will be basically safe, because I can pop smoke and hide in it, or pop smoke and use that to screen my escape. Either one works. The objective here is just stay alive for another 20 seconds, basically. And to that effect, I use my heal. The Friedrich's on fire pretty good. The rest of our team's starting to engage him here, and in a minute you'll see him turning his turrets away from me. This is his last salvo at me. Yeah, you can see his gun starting to turn already. So all I have to worry about now are his secondaries and the Des Moines, which appears to have given up for now. He's rolled back behind his island. The Friedrich is not long for this world. He's about to go down. Unfortunately, our Bismarck's not doing very well against this Massachusetts, so I opt to help him out. Of course, I've got a smoke screen here for over a minute and a half. I can afford to stop and just pound shells into this guy. They're kind of doing this weird circle dance of death kind of thing, so I was kind of dubious about dropping torps here. I didn't want to risk hitting the Bismarck, so I could have dropped them here. I could have dropped them basically at any point in this engagement, but I just really didn't want to risk sinking the Bismarck. Now that he's heading to the map border, I feel safe in dropping them, but I kind of expect the mass to straighten out. Bismarck is a one-hit wonder at this stage. Des Moines throwing shells at him as well. He's pretty much fucked. And down he goes. Now, for a second here, the mass had me worried. I thought I was going to miss him. It looked like he was going to just continue his circle around. I wasn't sure if he figured that I was here and dropping, or if he was just, you know, kind of, his rudder had been damaged, or who knows. Either way, he did actually straighten out for just long enough there to put him in the path of one of my torpedoes. So at least I got something out of that. And he's on fire quite badly. And I'm still invisible for another 12 seconds. He gets a torp up the bum, a bunch of shells from the Iowa. And it's starting to look a little more even. Now, we've lost control of C, obviously, when that Friedrich rolled in there. We do have B, but we don't have any sort of screen out there, so the enemy will just roll in and take it at their leisure, basically. All our guys that were down in B before have shifted northeast to help out up here, which is welcome, but it might have been a better idea for them to stay down in B, or at least around it, because now we're kind of cornered. The Des Moines is spotted, the Lightning goes to harass him while the other ships there support. As I tell the team here, I'm going to help them with the Des Moines, if necessary, and then loop south so I can spot B, because I fully expect us to get rolled up on from behind. I'm out of smoke, I'm out of heals, I have one speed boost left, which I'm about to use here to just try and get myself to the center of the map faster. I've still got just over a third of my health, which isn't really a lot, especially considering the amount of ships coming. They've got 2 battleships, a cruiser, and 2 destroyers at this point. We cap C, but we're already losing B. Now, pay attention to our Kitakaze here. For those who have been away from the game as long as me, Kitakaze is the tier 9 that comes off of the Akazuki branch. It's a gunboat. Like the Akazuki, it's basically that, but tier 9. And then the tier 10 is the Haragumo, which is basically that, but with a 5th turret. This guy is a really good player, or if, you know, he played really, really well this match. I was very impressed by our Kitakaze. Our Iowa here rolls down to try and stave off these 2 battleships, Bismarck and an Alsace. The Alsace is looking to be the easier target just because he's missing more hit points. There's a Hindenburg who's kind of cockeyed off to the southeast. And we've got 2 destroyers who haven't been lit yet, but you can pretty much guarantee they're going to be screening for these guys. In light of that, I decided to cut down this channel here, so I've got some hard cover just in case one of the DDs pops up in front of me. Now, the Grozovoy has better concealment than the Khabarovsk, obviously, because Khabi is visible from space. Like, it's basically got cruiser level visibility. Same with Tashkent. The problem is, and you can see me catching Dalo by surprise here, which is the tier 9 that leads to this, a very good boat. The problem is that it's still not the stealthiest thing on Earth. My Grozovoy can be spotted at 7.4 kilometers, which is not bad, but it's a lot worse than it sounds on maps with a lot of islands. Because what tends to happen is you'll roll out around an island and suddenly somebody's like 6 kilometers from you and, oh fuck, I'm spotted in front of the whole enemy team. Basically what happened there. Now, being out of smoke, I know I'm fucked. I've dropped torps just in a blind sort of whelp. Here's some torps to whom they may concern. I don't expect any hits out of that, it's just to try and see what I can get. As I run away, the enemy Kagero cloaks up, so I can't finish him, unfortunately. And if I'd finished him, we may well have actually won this, because it was that guy specifically that cost us this game. He was quite good as well. So, shout out to him. Deathwing Elite, you did well this game. Very well. Now, for a moment, it looks like I might maybe tag the Alsace with one of my torps, and sure enough, right midships. It is only one torp, though, and Groz's torps aren't the most powerful things on Earth, so it's just kind of a token. You tried, I guess. With that said, at this point, I have done over 150,000 combined spotting and dealt damage, which is pretty good for me in any kind of ship. For me in a destroyer, that's astronomical. I don't think I've managed that kind of performance in a destroyer since Alpha. Again, most of that in the Grimyashi, or, you know, the Grim Reaper, basically, as it used to be. And more or less still is, it's still quite a powerful ship. Unfortunately for our Iowa, who was nearly full health a minute ago, he's just rolled out into a very bad situation. I suppose it wasn't really... Like, he wasn't bad, he'd been doing quite well this match, he just got unlucky and drove in front of 2 battleships and a Kagero, which finished him. Our Lightning here is a one-hit wonder, so he's got to play quite carefully. Lightning's a pretty interesting destroyer, pretty good destroyer from what I can tell. She doesn't have a speed boost, which kind of hurts your ability to run and gun. But to balance that, she has 360-degree traversing turrets, as in all of them. So you can just juke from side to side with no concerns about which way your guns are facing, because they can turn any direction you want. Obviously they can't fire through your superstructure, but it makes it a lot quicker and easier to shift guns from one side to the other when you're juking, which makes it quite a proficient gunfighter, and they're quite good guns as well. The higher tier Royal Navy destroyers, at least the ones we have our hands on so far, the Cossack, which is a tribal, Haida technically is a tribal, you know, even though she's in the Commonwealth tree. And then the Lightning and the Jervis are quite good gunboats. The sort of mid-tier British destroyers we have our hands on, not as much. Now, our Lightning unfortunately gets lit there and goes down. Again, the Kagero is behind that. And this is where our Kitakaze really starts to shine. So, C is safe just by virtue of the enemy won't get to it without going past him. They're obviously going to try for B, and you can see me checking out some of the detail on the map at this point. They're obviously going to head for B, so he knows where to be, he knows that he's got all these islands here to fuck with them, to use as cover and concealment. He has quite good concealment himself, being a Japanese destroyer. He's still got smoke charges, and again, being a Japanese destroyer, he has decent torpedoes. The enemy here are playing this correctly, they're staying together as a group. The last thing you want to do when you've got a single enemy destroyer like this is split up, because he'll just single you out and kill you one by one. As you can see here, he's managed to surprise the Bismarck with a bunch of torpedoes around an island. Because the Bismarck was coming from around terrain and Kagero dropped those from a position he wasn't expected to be in, outside of his smoke, the Bismarck had no idea they were there. He almost gets the Alsace, but him and the Hindenburg go sort of bumper to bumper there to get through that one, very narrowly. And then the Kagero begins firing, or sorry, the Kitakaze begins firing his guns. He can do this because he has an island to kind of cover him, and his shells arc quite well. Obviously, it lights him, but the trade-off is, you know, he just has to hug the island and use it as cover. At this point, it's pretty obvious we're going to lose this one. You know, it would take an absolute miracle to pull this out. The enemy have the points advantage. They have an enormous hit points advantage. They've got 3 ships, a destroyer and a cruiser among them, and that destroyer is a Japanese destroyer, so it's as stealthy as this guy. And here in a second, he rolls out, and unfortunately, Kagero is waiting for him. Solid effort, but he went down fighting.